It is not meant to echo through an empty hall or bounce off the walls of a building. These words are whispered. They are carried gently, deliberately, directly to the place inside you where everything is quiet. That sacred hidden room in your soul where no one else has ever been allowed to enter. Already I am there. I have always been there. Long before you knew how to find that place, long before you learned to go still enough to hear anything beyond the noise of daily living, I was already dwelling in that quiet center of your being. And right now, in this very moment, as these words reach you, I am inviting you to sit with me in that stillness and receive something that your weary heart has needed for longer than you have been willing to admit. Not just something you needed this week, or this season, or since the last time things got hard. Something you have needed for a long time. Something that was kept for you, set aside for this exact moment, held in readiness by hands that never forget and never give up on what they have promised to deliver. My peaceful one, that is what I call you. Not because your life has been without trouble, without storms, without seasons that felt like they would swallow you whole and leave nothing behind. I call you that because I see what is inside you, even when the outside is shaking, even when your hands tremble and your voice breaks and your thoughts race at a speed that makes rest feel like something that belongs to another person entirely, to someone with a simpler life, to someone who has not carried what you have carried or walked through what you have walked through. I call you peaceful because that is what I have placed inside you. And what I place does not disappear when circumstances become hard. Peace is not the absence of difficulty. Peace is not the feeling that everything is fine when everything is clearly not fine. Peace is my presence in the middle of it all. Peace is the ground that holds when the surface is shaking. Peace is the stillness at the center that persists, even when the edges of your life are in chaos, when everything around you is moving and uncertain and loud and confusing. And I am here. I have never left. My presence in your life is not something you feel on the good days and lose on the hard days. My presence is the most consistent thing in your entire existence, more consistent than anything in the natural world, more reliable than any human relationship, more stable than the mountains that have been standing since creation. I am here, and I have never stopped being here. Think about every hard moment you have ever faced, every single one of them. I want you to think about the moments that brought you to your knees, not in worship, but in exhaustion, in desperation, in a grief so heavy it felt like a physical weight on your chest that made it hard to breathe. Think about the moments that stripped you of certainty, that dismantled the plans you had built so carefully, that left you standing in the rubble of something you had counted on with your whole heart. My presence filled every single one of those moments, not watching from a comfortable distance, not reviewing the situation from somewhere removed and unaffected. I was there as close to you as your own heartbeat, as present as the air filling your lungs, as intimate as the thoughts you had in the middle of the night that you never said out loud to anyone. You did not always feel me. I know that. And I do not fault you for it. Feelings are not always reliable indicators of reality. The truth is not always accessible through emotion. On the days when the pain was loudest, the pain can drown out everything else, including the awareness of my presence. But the truth of my being with you does not depend on whether you can feel it or sense it or measure it. My presence with you is a fact that stands regardless of your perception of it on any given day, in any given moment, no matter what you are walking through. While you were wondering whether I was listening, I was orchestrating something beautiful, while the silence stretched out around you and felt like absence, like a sky without stars, like a room with no one in it. I was building something magnificent that you could not yet see. Every closed door you stood in front of, confused and hurt, and wondering what you had done wrong to deserve the closing, I was behind that door setting up what comes next, not punishing you by closing it, not indifferent to your pain as you stood there reaching for a handle that would not turn, setting something up, arranging what needs to be in place before the next door opens, clearing the path of obstacles you could not yet see, preparing the room you are walking toward so that when you enter it, everything is ready for you. Every unanswered prayer that made you wonder if your words were reaching anywhere at all, if they were dissolving into the air before they rose high enough to matter. I heard every single one of them. I cataloged each request. I understood the weight behind each word. I knew what it cost you to pray in faith when faith was hard to come by, when you were praying mostly on habit and hope rather than on felt certainty. I knew what it cost you to keep asking when the asking had gone unanswered long enough that asking again felt foolish, felt like filling a bucket with no bottom, felt like an exercise in learning to accept disappointment. None of that was lost on me. None of that effort was invisible to me. None of those prayers hit a ceiling and fell back down unanswered into empty space. Every single one of them entered into my presence and set something in motion that I am still watching unfold. Absent? Never. I was working in ways that required me to work in places you could not follow, doing things that required a patience and a perspective that stretches beyond the edges of what human eyes can see, beyond the edges of what human time can track. There are things I have been preparing for you that could not have been rushed. They could not have been delivered before the conditions were ready, before you were ready, before the people connected to your story were ready, before the circumstances I was arranging had reached the right configuration. You could not see the sequence from where you were standing. You could only see your piece of it, your waiting, your questions, your longing for something that had not arrived yet, your confusion about why something that seemed so clearly good and right was taking so long. But I could see all of it. I could see the beginning and the end and every necessary step in between. And I was guiding all of it. Every delay was a decision. Every closed door was a redirection toward something better than what was behind the closed one. Every painful pruning was a preparation for the kind of fruit that cannot come from unpruned branches, the kind of abundance that only becomes possible when the unnecessary is removed and the energy goes to what matters most. Here is what I want you to understand about how I build. I am not a god who constructs quickly and carelessly, who puts something together just to check it off a list, who builds structures that look impressive until the first real storm comes and then fall apart because nothing was put into the foundation properly. When I build something for you, I build it to last. I build it with a quality that does not degrade over time. I build it with materials that are stronger than anything your circumstances can throw against them. I build it with a vision of everything you will ever need from it. Not just what you need today, not just what the present season requires, but what the next 10 seasons will require, and the one after that. Everything I build for you, I build on a foundation that cannot be moved, that cannot be eroded, that cannot be shaken by anything in the natural world or the spiritual realm. I am laying beams of grace that are stronger than any force that will ever come against you. I am setting cornerstones of faithfulness that predate your birth and will outlast everything that ever tries to oppose you. I am building something that will not just hold your weight, but will hold the weight of everyone I intend to shelter through your life. Everyone I am going to bring to you. Everyone whose life will be changed because yours was first changed by me. You may not see it today. You may not feel it on the days when the weight is heaviest, when the evidence in the visible world seems to contradict everything you are believing for, but I am building. The structure is going up. What you are walking into is already under construction. The blueprints are not sketches or rough ideas or plans that are subject to revision based on how things go. They are the detailed, precise, loving plans I made for you before you were born, when I formed you in secret and called you by name, when I looked at everything you would be and everything you would carry and everything I would do through you. And I said yes. You were chosen. You were planned. I am building you a life that matches the choosing, a life worthy of the love I have for you, a life that reflects the intention I had when I created you, which was not an afterthought, not a minor consideration, but a full and complete act of purpose. And I need you to hear this too. The silence you have been living inside is not emptiness. It is not the silence of absence. It is the silence of preparation. It is the pause that comes before the movement. Seeds do not make noise when they are growing underground. The growth happens in the dark, in the quiet, before anything is visible to the human eye. The farmer does not dig up the seed every morning to check on it. He trusts the process. He trusts the nature of the seed, the quality of the soil, the faithfulness of the rain and the sun. He waits. He tends. He keeps doing the small daily things that need to be done. And then one day, without any dramatic announcement, the first shoot breaks through the surface. The life that was there the whole time becomes visible. And the farmer is not surprised. He knew it was coming. He trusted the process even when the process was invisible. Your quiet season has not been wasted. I have been growing something in you that could only grow the way things grow in darkness. Slowly, without fanfare, with the kind of depth that comes only when the growth happens without shortcuts, without the pressure of being watched, without the distortion that comes from performing for an audience. Everything that has been forming in you during the hard seasons, the patience that was produced by being made to wait, the depth of character that was forged by having to hold on when letting go, would have been easier. The capacity for compassion that only comes from having needed compassion yourself, the wisdom that only comes from having walked through things that required wisdom you did not yet possess. All of it has been the underground work of my spirit in your life. All of it has been the unseeable process producing a very seeable result. And the result is coming. The shoot is about to break through. What has been growing in the dark is about to be seen in the light. Think about what has been forged in you during the times that were most difficult. Do not rush past this. Actually stop and consider it. Think about the depths you reached inside yourself that you never knew existed until the surface was stripped away and there was nothing left but what was truly underneath. Think about the resilience that grew in you, not because life was easy, but precisely because it was not. Because you had to keep going when every instinct said stop. Because you had to keep trusting when nothing in the visible world seemed to warrant trust. Think about the faith that deepened in you, not when everything was going well and faith cost you nothing, but when everything was challenging and the faith had to dig itself down into something more foundational than feeling, more durable than circumstance, more stubborn than the evidence. Think about the love that expanded in you during the seasons when you had very little and you found yourself more tender, more aware, more genuinely present to other people who had very little. Think about the understanding that grew in you for human pain with a particular texture of struggle, because you have known what it is to be in pain and to struggle and to not be sure how you would make it through. I have been the architect of your character as much as I have been the architect of your circumstances. What I have been building inside you is just as important, just as intentional, just as beautiful as what I have been building around you. The inner work and the outer work are not separate projects running on different tracks. They are one integrated design, the formation of a life and a person that together will produce what I have planned. You cannot carry what I am about to give you without what I have been building inside you. The capacity to receive the blessing requires the character that has been shaped in the waiting. The purpose ahead of you requires the depth that was cultivated in the seasons behind you. You are not the same person you were before the hardest chapters of your story. You are stronger. You are deeper. You are more capable of receiving what I am about to give you because of what you have walked through to get here. I want to take you behind what has been happening. I want to show you what my hands have been doing in the season you were not able to see clearly. In every moment when you were fighting to hold on, I was holding you. Not in a passive way, not in the way of someone who is simply preventing a fall without caring what happens next, not as a bystander catching you only to let you fall again. In the way of a father who sees his child about to fall and moves faster than the child can track, who is already under them before they even realize they are losing their balance, who catches them and holds them and speaks steady words until the trembling stops. While you were straining to keep your faith alive in the moments when everything inside you wanted to let go, I was keeping it alive. My strength was supplementing your weakness. When you thought you were barely surviving, when you felt like you were running on nothing, when you wondered how many more days you could possibly keep going like this, you were actually being sustained by a power you could not locate or measure, but that was absolutely real. You did not survive those seasons because you were strong enough on your own. You survived because I was with you. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still believing, however imperfectly, however haltingly. Do not take that lightly. That is the evidence of my faithfulness working through your life. Now come even closer. Lean in, because what I am about to say is meant for the deepest part of you. The part that does not speak easily. The part that sometimes goes quiet, even when the rest of you is loud. The part that carries the things you have never quite been able to put into words. The longing that has no clean name. The grief that sits below the surface of the ordinary days. The hope that you almost stopped feeding, because feeding it required a courage you were not sure you still had. This next part is just between you and me, in this sacred space, in this moment that was set apart before time began, for exactly what is happening right now. I need your spirit to receive this before your mind tries to evaluate it. Let this come in through faith, not through analysis. Let it settle somewhere below the level of thought, into the place where my voice has always been most at home in you. I am speaking over your life right now. And what I am about to declare, nothing in creation has the authority to contradict. Not the past, with all its failures and losses, and chapters you would rather forget. Not the present, with all its pressures and uncertainties, and days that grind away at the reserves of hope. Not the future with all its unknowns and its questions that do not yet have answers. Nothing that has happened, nothing that is happening, nothing that is yet to happen has the authority to contradict what I declare over you. My word stands above all of it. My word is the final word on your life, the most authoritative voice in every conversation about who you are, what you are worth, and what is coming for you. Let me tell you what I see when I look at you. I see someone who has carried things they were never meant to carry alone, and who carried them anyway because there was no other choice, because laying them down did not seem like an available option. I see faithfulness that was not recognized by anyone around you, but that was seen by me and recorded in eternity, with a permanence that nothing can erase. I see a strength that has been misread as weakness, because true strength does not always announce itself loudly, or carry itself with the confidence that the world recognizes as strength. I see a gentleness that has been misread as inability, because people who only understand force do not know what to make of someone whose power expresses itself through patience and care. I see a patience that has been misread as passivity, because the world moves at a speed that does not know what to do with someone who trusts a timeline deeper than the urgent. I see the truth of who you are, and the truth is far more powerful, far more beautiful, far more significant than anything the world has labeled you or that you have accepted as your identity in the weak and weary moments. I declare over your life in this moment that the seasons of invisible labor are ending, the seasons of pouring out without receiving, of working without recognition, of trusting without visible evidence, of planting without yet seeing the harvest, of believing in the face of all the things that seem to argue against belief. Those seasons have built something in you that is about to change everything. What was planted in secret is about to bloom in the open. What was prepared in the hidden place is about to be displayed in the visible world. What you cultivated in the quiet years, all of it. The faith that held on by its fingernails, the love that kept showing up even when showing up was exhausting, the hope that refused to die even when dying seemed like the only rational option, is about to produce a harvest that will astonish even you. People around you who did not understand what you were doing during the quiet season will watch what unfolds now and begin to understand. They will see the fruit. They will see the vindication of every choice you made when those choices were hard and unpopular and not yet obviously wise. I declare that the foundations of your life are unshakable. Every force that has tried to destabilize what I have built in you and around you, every voice that has whispered that you are on the wrong foundation, every thought that came to undermine your sense of stability, every circumstance that was arranged to make you feel like the ground beneath you could give way at any moment, I declare that they have failed. The structure holds. The foundation is sound. My word holds. My covenant with you holds. What I have promised over your life is not subject to negotiation, not subject to the conditions that your circumstances seem to impose, not subject to the vote of anyone who has opinions about what you deserve or what your future holds. I am the one who decides what happens in your story, and I have decided in your favor. From before the beginning, the verdict was already in your favor. Nothing that has happened since then has changed that verdict. I declare that peace is your inheritance, not peace that is borrowed from good circumstances and returned when the circumstances change, not peace that depends on everything going according to the plan you made, that evaporates when the plan falls apart, that requires the cooperation of factors outside your control. I declare a peace that lives inside you independent of what is happening outside you. A peace that holds when the news is hard. A peace that holds when the conversation is difficult and the words come out wrong. A peace that holds when the future is unclear and the road ahead cannot be seen, and the map you were following no longer matches the territory you are walking through. This peace is not something you manufacture by thinking the right thoughts or performing the right spiritual exercises. This peace is something I give. It passes understanding. It does not make sense by the logic of the visible world. It is the peace of someone who knows they are held by a hand that cannot fail, who knows they are loved by a love that cannot end, who knows they are walking toward a destination that has been prepared with care. And I am giving this peace to you right now, as these words reach you. Peace is entering the places inside you that have been held tightly in tension for so long that you have forgotten what it felt like to be relaxed. Peace is reaching the fear that you have kept carefully hidden, the one you have not even named to yourself because naming it felt like it might make it more real. Peace is moving into the room where your worst anxieties have been living and making themselves at home. The room where the worst case scenarios play on repeat, where the fears about health and provision and relationships and the future take up residence without invitation, and peace is changing the atmosphere of that room. Not by pretending those fears are not real, but by being greater than them. I am greater than every fear that has ever come against you. My peace is greater than every anxiety that has ever tried to take up permanent residence in your mind. You are receiving peace right now, not because your situation has changed, because I am here, and where I am, peace must be. This is my covenant, renewed with you today. This is my promise that I am not making for the first time, but that I am reaffirming, because you need to hear it again in this season, with fresh ears, with this particular weight you are carrying laid out before you. I promised you I would never leave you. That promise has not been revoked. I promised you I would never forsake you. That has never happened, and it will never happen. I promised you that what I have begun in you, I will complete, because I do not begin things I intend to abandon. I promised you that the end of your story is not written by your enemies, not written by your mistakes, not written by the hardest things that have happened to you. I promised you that I hold the pen, and I hold it still. Every word of your story is in my hands, and I write with intention, with love, with a purpose that makes even the most painful chapters ultimately meaningful, ultimately useful, ultimately part of something beautiful. Every good thing I have placed in you since before your birth is still alive. It has not been extinguished by anything you have done, or anything that has been done to you. My gifts in you do not expire. My purposes in you do not become void when the circumstances become difficult. My vision for your life does not get revised downward because you have made mistakes. My love for you does not turn cold based on how well you have performed or how consistently you have measured up to an ideal. I am the God who gives and keeps giving, who pours out and keeps pouring, whose generosity is not a resource that runs dry because it springs from a nature that is itself inexhaustible. You were made on purpose, for purpose, and the purpose I placed in you is still active, still available, still moving toward its fulfillment in your life, regardless of every obstacle that has tried to prevent it. Now I am renewing this covenant today. I am writing it again in the chambers of your spirit, pressing it deeper in than anything that has tried to displace it. I am pressing my seal on this promise, so that when the voices come to tell you it is not real, when the doubts rise to challenge what you have received today, when the circumstances tomorrow seem to argue against what you heard me speak today, you will find that my word has already been established in you so deeply that the challenges cannot displace it. The word I have spoken over you is not made of paper that the rain of difficulty can dissolve. It is written in the substance of eternity. This is sealed. What I have spoken over you today stands. It stands in the natural world and in the spiritual world. It stands through time and through circumstances. It stands because I am the one who spoke it, and I do not speak empty words. I do not make promises I cannot keep. I do not tell you things that are not true. The truth is the only thing I know how to speak. Now let me tell you what to do with this peace. Because peace that stays only in the moment of receiving it, and then fades when you step back into the ordinary demands of your day, is not yet fully received. Real peace becomes a foundation you live from. not just a feeling you experience occasionally. Real peace changes the way you make decisions. Real peace changes the way you respond to people who are unkind. Real peace changes the way you hold the uncertainties of life, not gripping them with white-knuckled anxiety, but holding them loosely, trusting that the one who holds your life is more than capable of managing what you cannot. Begin each day by returning to this place. Return to the stillness. Return to the inner room where I dwell, that sacred quiet place inside you that existed before the day began to make its demands, before the day builds its noise around you, before the worries line up and the to-do list grows, and the world presses in with its relentless urgency. Come here first. Come to me first. Spend time in the quiet before the day begins. Let me orient your heart before the world tries to disorient it. Let me remind you who you are before the circumstances try to tell you who you are. Let me fill you before the day tries to empty you. Starting your day in my presence is not a ritual. It is a realignment. It is how you stay connected to the peace that I have given you, so that when the pressure comes, you are not scrambling to find the peace. You are already standing in it. When the challenges come, and they will come, because challenge is part of the fabric of life in this world. Practice returning to me first. Not panicking, not immediately reaching for every human source of advice and comfort, before you have first turned to me. Come to me. Take a breath. Remind yourself that I know about this situation. Nothing about this caught me by surprise. I have already prepared for exactly this. Remind yourself that I am bigger than this thing that feels so large today. I am bigger than the financial worry that feels enormous and immovable. I am bigger than the relationship wound that feels impossibly deep. I am bigger than the health concern that is making you afraid of what comes next. I am bigger than the uncertainty about the future that is stealing your sleep. There is not a single thing in your life that falls outside the reach of my power or beyond the scope of my care. Not one thing. Not the small things that you are embarrassed to even bring to me because they seem too minor to deserve divine attention. Not the large things that feel too massive to believe that anyone could address them fully. Everything in your life is within my reach. Everything is within my care. When you are tempted to react from fear, pause. That pause is where I live. That pause is the space in which my wisdom is available to you. Fear makes poor decisions. Fear interprets situations through a lens of scarcity and threat. Fear speaks words that damage. Fear takes actions that create consequences that then have to be lived with for a long time afterward. But peace sees clearly. Peace speaks with an accuracy that comes from seeing the situation through the right lens. Peace acts with an understanding that comes from a higher perspective. Choose the pause. In that pause, come to me. Let me show you what I see before you commit to your reaction. Let me give you a response that comes from my nature rather than a reaction that comes from your fear. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. This is the most powerful thing you can do in a hard moment. Your faith has moved things. Every prayer you prayed in faith set something in motion. Every time you chose to trust me when trusting felt unreasonable, a door was unlocked somewhere. Every time you spoke my word over a situation when everything seemed to argue against hope, an authority was exercised that the enemy had no answer for. Your faith has been working. You have not seen all the fruit of it. Much of it has been underground, growing in the dark, preparing to surface. But it is there, and it is about to surface in ways you will be able to see clearly with your natural eyes. Steward your faith with care. Guard it as the precious, powerful thing that it is. Give my word more of your attention than you give to the circumstances that seem to argue against it. My word is more real than your circumstances. My promises are more permanent than the pressures you are facing. My faithfulness is a more reliable foundation than anything the visible world can offer. Now, let me talk to you about the people in your life. Because part of receiving this peace and carrying it well has to do with how you navigate the relationships around you, some of which have been sources of deep joy, and some of which have been sources of deep pain. Some of the people in your life have loved you faithfully, have shown up for you, have been hands and voices of my grace to you during your hardest seasons. And I want you to recognize that. I want you to receive that love with gratitude, with openness, without the guardedness that hurt can produce. The kind of guardedness that keeps everyone at arm's length, because letting someone in feels dangerous. The people who have loved you well deserve to actually be let in. They deserve to receive from you the love that you have available to give, not a rationed and guarded version of it, but the full thing, the generous thing, the love that flows from a heart that has been healed enough to offer it freely. And then there are the others, the ones who have wounded you, the ones who walked away when you needed them, the ones who said things that still echo in your mind years later, the ones who betrayed your trust, who diminished your worth, who treated what was precious in you as though it had no value. I want to speak directly about them because the weight of what they did, if you are still carrying it, is keeping you from walking at full strength into what I have ahead for you. Unforgiveness is a weight that you were not designed to carry, not because what they did was acceptable. I am not saying it was. I am not asking you to pretend the wound was not real, or that the damage they caused was not significant. I am not asking you to invite people back into your life who will only hurt you again. What I am asking you to do is release the weight of the debt. Forgiveness does not mean what they did was fine. Forgiveness means you are releasing the debt they owe you into my hands and trusting me to deal with it, rather than carrying the weight of that ledger yourself. Forgiveness is for you more than it is for them. Forgiveness frees you to move forward without the drag of bitterness, without the heaviness of an unpaid account that you are tracking and they are not. Hand it to me. Let me deal with it. Your job is to walk forward light. Let me say something about your identity that is very important. There have been voices in your life, some external and some internal, that have built a picture of who you are that is smaller than the reality, smaller than what I see when I see you, smaller than what I designed when I made you, smaller than what the purpose I placed in you requires you to be. These voices have told you things that got inside you and began to function like truth, even though they were not true. They told you that you are too much, or not enough, or the wrong kind, or past your moment, or too damaged, or too flawed, or too far behind. They told you that other people are chosen, and you are passed over, that other people have gifts, and you have only ordinariness, that other people are on a trajectory that leads somewhere, and yours leads nowhere. These voices were wrong. Every single one of them was wrong. And I need you to know how wrong they were, not just intellectually, but in the deep part of you where identity actually lives. You were made with extraordinary specificity. I did not make you in general terms. I made you with exact precision. Each detail of who you are, chosen deliberately and placed purposefully. The things about you that you have been ashamed of, the ways you are different from other people, the places where you do not fit the standard mold, these are often the most intentional parts of my design. What the world has called flaws, I sometimes call features. What has been read as limitation, I sometimes designed as distinctiveness. The thing that makes you feel like you do not belong in certain spaces is often the thing that makes you perfect for the specific space I am sending you into. You are not a mistake. You are not an approximation of what was intended. You are exactly what was intended. And the purpose I built into you when I made you is a purpose that the world needs, that the people around you need, that cannot be fulfilled by anyone else because it was built for you specifically. Let me address the exhaustion, because I know some of you are tired in a way that goes deeper than the body. The soul can be tired in a way that sleep does not touch. You can rest your body and wake up still feeling the weight of everything you have been carrying. The soul tiredness that comes from long seasons of fighting, from extended periods of giving out more than you have been receiving, from walking through hard things without adequate support, from holding hope for a long time without seeing visible evidence that the hope is warranted. That tiredness is real, and I do not dismiss it. I do not tell you to simply try harder, or to manufacture more energy, or to pretend you are not as tired as you are. I tell you to come to me with the tiredness. I tell you to lay it down here, in this moment, in this conversation. You were not meant to carry the weight of your life alone. You were not designed to sustain yourself by your own resources indefinitely without being replenished. You have a source. You have a wellspring. You have a place where you can come and be filled when you are running empty. I am that place. I am the source you return to. And when you come to me, you do not come to someone who will assess your performance and then decide how much replenishment you deserve. You come to someone who loves you and who has an unlimited supply to give you and who delights in giving it. So, come. Come with the tiredness. Come with the questions you cannot answer. Come with the grief you have not finished grieving. Come with the fear you have been trying to manage on your own. Come with the longing that has not yet been fulfilled. Come with all of it. Do not clean it up before you come. Do not decide that some of it is too messy for my presence. I am not fragile. I am not easily offended by your humanity. I made your humanity. I know what it carries. I know what it costs. And I love you through all of it, in all of it, even the parts you are most ashamed of, even the parts you have been most afraid to let me see. I see it all already. There is nothing you are hiding from me. And what I see, I love, not because you are perfect, because you are mine. Let me speak about the family connections in your life, the people you are bound to, the children if you have them, the parents, the siblings, the extended web of people who have come from the same roots or have been woven into the fabric of your life at the deepest levels. I have not forgotten a single one of them. Everyone who is in your prayers is in my hands. I see the ones who are struggling. I see the ones who are making choices that break your heart. I see the ones who have walked into difficult seasons that you cannot fix no matter how much you love them or how hard you try. I see the ones who have drifted from what they knew was true and are living in places they were not designed to inhabit. I have not stopped working in their lives. I have not abandoned the purposes I placed in them before they were born. Your prayers for them are not wasted. Your love for them is not wasted. Your faithful intercession on their behalf is not hitting a ceiling. It is reaching me. And I am acting in their lives in ways that you cannot see from where you are standing, in ways that are happening underground, in ways that will one day surface, and you will understand that the whole time you were praying and wondering if anything was happening, everything was happening. Trust me with them. Do not try to do my job in their lives. Your role is to love them, to pray for them, to be an example of what it looks like to trust me, to speak truthfully to them when truth needs to be spoken, to hold your arms open when they return from places they should not have gone. My role is to work in the depths of their hearts, in the places you cannot reach. in the ways that only I can operate. You do what you can do. Trust me to do what only I can do. Together, through your love and my power, what looks impossible in their lives right now is not impossible. I am the God who turns hearts. I am the God who interrupts trajectories. I am the God who breaks through to people who have been unreachable. Your family is not beyond me. Let me tell you about the coming season. I want to give you a picture of what is ahead, not to create false excitement, not to make promises I do not keep, but to orient you toward what I have already decided and what is already in motion. The preparation that has been happening in the hidden place is completing. The formation that has been happening in the quiet seasons is producing what it was meant to produce. The deep roots that were going down during the seasons when nothing was visible above ground are about to support something visible, something sturdy, something that can bear the weight of what I am about to put on it. You are stepping into a new season, not a season where everything is easy, because I do not promise easy, but a season where the things I have promised begin to show up in tangible form, where what you have hoped for starts appearing in your actual daily reality, where my faithfulness stops being something you believe in by faith alone and starts being something you can point to and name. The provision that has felt withheld is about to arrive, not because circumstances suddenly changed, but because I have been timing the release. There is a right time for everything I do, and the right time for what you have needed is approaching. The doors that have been closed are not going to stay closed indefinitely. I am moving in situations that have felt completely stuck. I am softening hearts that have been hardened against you. I am opening paths that appeared to be blocked by unmovable obstacles. I am working in the background of every situation that concerns you. And what I am doing back there is going to become visible in the front. What has been hidden is coming to light. What has been underground is coming to the surface. Keep returning to the stillness. Keep making space for my voice in the ordinary days. Keep the practice of coming to me before the day fills up with its demands, even for a few minutes, even when the few minutes feel inadequate, even when your mind is still busy with everything else. The practice matters. The returning matters. Every time you choose the stillness, you are choosing me. Every time you choose to start from my presence, rather than trying to get through the day and return to me at the end of it, you are building something in your spirit that will serve you for a long time. You are developing the habit of the anchored life, the life that finds its center in me, regardless of what is happening at the edges. This is the life of peace I have called you to. This is the life I have designed you for, and you are living it, even imperfectly, even on the days when it looks more like struggle than like grace. You are living it, and I am with you in the living of it. My promises over your life are not seasonal. They do not apply only when conditions are ideal. They do not pause during the hard seasons and resume when things improve. My promises are always active, always applicable, always working. On the worst days of your life, my promises are just as true as they are on the best ones. The love I have for you does not fluctuate based on what kind of day it is. The commitment I have made to you does not waver when your circumstances waver. The purpose I have placed in you does not diminish when you feel diminished. All of it stands, all of it holds, all of it persists, because it is grounded in who I am, not in what your life looks like on any given day. Let me speak about the word I have given you, the written word, the living word, the word that has been available to you throughout your life, and that you have turned to in both the seasons of plenty and the seasons of need. There is a reason I gave you my word. There is a reason I preserved it through centuries, through persecutions, through every attempt to silence it or destroy it or discredit it. I preserved it because it is the primary way I speak to you. Not the only way, but the primary way. And when you open it and read it, you are not reading ancient history. You are reading living truth that was written with you specifically in mind, that carries within it a capacity to speak directly into whatever is happening in your life right now with a precision that should astonish you. I know it has astonished you at times. You have been reading, and suddenly, a passage that you have read before stands up from the page and says your name, addresses your exact situation, provides the exact word that your heart needed in that exact moment. That was not coincidence. That was me. I was speaking. My word was doing what I gave it to do. So open it more often. Spend time with it in the quiet, not to fulfill a religious obligation, not to check a box, not because you feel that I will be displeased if you do not, but because what is in it has the power to change what is in you. The word does something when it is taken in regularly. It builds a structure of truth inside you that becomes the frame through which you process everything else. When a lie comes at you, the word in you recognizes it and calls it out. When a fear comes at you, the word in you has a counterword that is more powerful than the fear. When discouragement comes at you, the word in you carries the history of what I have done before and the promise of what I will do again. And discouragement finds less purchase than it did before the word was there. The word builds you from the inside. It is the building material of the inner life that everything else depends on. I want to talk about the way you speak about yourself, because the words you use about yourself matter enormously, more than you may realize. When you speak about yourself with contempt, when you call yourself stupid or worthless or hopeless, when you rehearse your failures out loud or in your mind in language that would not be acceptable if directed at someone you loved, you are agreeing with a voice that is not mine. My voice does not speak about you with contempt. My voice does not rehearse your failures as though they define you. My voice speaks your name with tenderness. My voice speaks your future with hope and expectation. My voice speaks your identity with affirmation of the extraordinary specific person I made when I made you. Begin to notice how you speak about yourself in the private moments, in the comments you make under your breath when you make a mistake, in the narrative you run in the background of your mind. Notice when that voice sounds like me and when it does not. The voice that degrades you, the voice that diminishes you, the voice that insists on your unworthiness and your inadequacy and your past as though it were still present. That voice is not mine. Reject it. Replace it. Choose to speak about yourself the way I speak about you. You are loved. You are chosen. You are valued. You are capable of far more than you have been allowed to believe. Say so. Out loud if you can. Let your own ears hear you agreeing with what I say about you. Let me speak about joy, because peace and joy are not the same thing, but they are related, and I have joy that I want to give you. Not the shallow happiness that depends on everything going well. Not the performance of positivity that puts a smile on top of pain and pretends everything is fine. Genuine joy. The deep, quiet, solid kind that coexists with difficulty, that persists in the middle of the hard seasons, that does not require perfect circumstances to be real. This joy is a fruit of my spirit. It is one of the marks of my presence in a life. And where I am present, joy has the potential to grow, not automatically, not without cultivation, but it is available in my presence in a way that it is not available anywhere else. Come into my presence for joy. Come into my presence not just when you need something or are in trouble or have a request that needs answering, but also for the sheer experience of being with me, for the experience of the joy that exists simply in the proximity to the one who made you and loves you. There is joy in that proximity that does not need any other reason to exist, just being here, just being with me. This is where joy grows. And let me tell you this about joy. It is not something you manufacture or perform. You cannot talk yourself into the genuine kind through positive thinking alone. What you can do is create the conditions in which joy grows. You can return to me regularly. You can spend time in gratitude, not as a spiritual exercise, but as a genuine reckoning with what is actually good in your life, what is actually present and working and beautiful, even in the middle of the hard. There is almost always something beautiful in the middle of the hard. The capacity to find it is itself a form of grace. And when you find it and acknowledge it, when you turn your attention to what is good and true and worthy and name it out loud, something shifts inside you. The weight does not disappear, but it becomes more bearable. The difficulty does not end, but there is light in it that was not visible before. Let me help you find the light. Let me help you see what is good, even in the seasons that are genuinely hard. I am the one who placed the good there. I know where it is, and I am glad to show you. Let me say one more thing about the struggle and the strength. There is a kind of strength that only comes from having struggled and having made it through. It is the strength that can look at a hard situation without flinching, not because you are unaffected by difficulty, but because you have a history of walking through hard things and emerging from the other side. Every hard season you have survived has contributed to this kind of strength. Every time you were pressed and did not collapse, every time you were shaken and held on anyway, every time you were tested and came through the testing still believing, still reaching toward me, still refusing to let go, you built something. You built a track record of survival. You built a history of faithfulness. You built a depth of character that could not have been built any other way. And that strength is now part of you. It is part of the resource I have given you. It is part of what you bring to every future challenge. You are not starting from scratch every time something hard comes. You are starting from a place that has been built up by everything you have already walked through. The hard seasons built you, and what they built is good. Let me speak about the silence between us, because sometimes the silence feels like distance, and I want you to understand that it is not. There are seasons in our relationship, yours and mine, where you go to find me, and the finding does not feel like you expected, where you reach and you cannot locate the hand you are reaching for, where you pray and the ceiling feels low and the words feel like they bounce back, where you open my word and the words on the page feel flat in a way they did not before. These seasons are real. They happen, and they are some of the most confusing and painful experiences in a life of faith, because they seem to contradict the very thing you have come to count on. They seem to say that I have moved. They seem to say that the relationship has cooled or broken or been suspended for reasons you do not understand. I want to say very clearly that this is not what those seasons mean. Those seasons do not mean I have moved. Those seasons do not mean the relationship has changed. Those seasons are sometimes simply seasons where I am calling you into a deeper kind of faith. A faith that does not require the felt experience of my presence in order to keep trusting. A faith that holds on even in the dark. A faith that says, even when I cannot feel you, I know you are here. That kind of faith, the faith that holds in the silence, is one of the most mature and powerful forms of trust that a human being can develop. And when you develop it, it becomes a foundation that nothing can shake, because it was built without the scaffolding of feeling, and so it stands even when feeling is absent. In those seasons of silence, Do not pull back from me. That is the temptation, to interpret the silence as rejection and respond by withdrawing, to stop bringing your needs to me because it feels like bringing them to an empty room. Do not do that. Keep coming. Keep speaking. Keep bringing your needs, your prayers, your gratitude, even your complaints. Even the prayer that says, I do not feel you, and I am struggling to believe this matters. That prayer reaches me, and it matters. The person who prays through the dry seasons is not someone whose faith is weak. They are someone whose faith is doing the hardest and most important work it will ever do. Keep coming in the silence. I am in the silence. I am just asking you to find me by a different means in those seasons, not by feeling, but by choosing. And when you choose me in the silence, you are choosing me at the most fundamental level. You are choosing the reality of who I am over the present experience you are having. And that choice honors me and strengthens you in ways that will be visible when the silence breaks. Let me say something about the future that I want you to carry with you. Not anxiety about it, not the burden of trying to figure out every detail of what comes next before you take the next step, but a particular quality of expectation, a quiet, settled expectation that what is coming is good, that the future I hold for you is not a disaster waiting to happen, that what is ahead is full of things I have been preparing with care. The expectation of good things does not mean denying that difficulty may also be ahead, because difficulty is part of life, but it means orienting your heart toward what I have promised, rather than toward what the worst-case scenario would look like. The enemy wants you to spend your present anticipating your worst fears. I want you to spend your present anchored in my promises. One of those uses your present to create dread about a future that may never materialize. The other uses your present to build the kind of expectation that actually positions you to receive what I am releasing. I know which one I am inviting you into. Hold your future loosely in terms of the specific details. You do not need to know exactly how things are going to unfold in order to trust that they will unfold well. You do not need to see the whole staircase in order to take the next step. Take the next step. Trust me with the one after that, and the one after that. I have never let you fall off the edge of a staircase I told you to climb. I have never sent you somewhere I did not also send provision for. I have never opened a door in front of you and then withdrawn my presence from what was behind it. Every step I have asked you to take, I have also been present for. That is how I work. That is who I am. And it is who I will continue to be in every step that lies ahead of you. My peaceful one, you have always been held. Even in the moments when you felt most unsteady, most uncertain, most afraid, you were held. Even in the moments when you felt most alone, when the silence felt like abandonment, when you reached out and could not feel me anywhere, you were held. The holding never stopped. The love never faltered. The commitment never wavered. You are mine. That is the truest thing about you. More true than any label that has been applied to you. More true than any version of yourself that you have been afraid you might actually be. You are mine. You were made by me, known by me, loved by me, held by me, and nothing in this life, nothing in all of creation, nothing in any realm of existence can change any of those things. This is my covenant renewed. This is my voice spoken clearly over your life in this moment that was prepared for you before time began. This is my promise standing firm, unbreakable, unshakable, rooted in the nature of the one who speaks it. I am with you. I have always been with you. I will always be with you. Before you knew my name, I was with you. Before you could speak a prayer, I was with you. In every season that preceded this one, I was with you. In this season, I am with you. In every season that follows, I will be with you. The foundations of your life are secure in me. The peace I have given you is real, and it is yours. The future I have prepared for you is full of everything I have promised, and I, who promised it, am faithful. I, who began this work in you, will complete it. I, who made the covenant, will keep every word of it. I, who love you, have always loved you, and I will never stop. Let this be declared clearly over you, the words spoken over you in your worst seasons by the voices of discouragement and condemnation and failure. Those words do not have the final authority over your life. I do. I am the one who holds the authority over who you are and what your life becomes. And I have spoken differently over you than those voices have spoken. I have spoken words of worth and purpose and love and belonging and destiny. I have declared you chosen, not as an afterthought, not by default, but by deliberate and joyful choice. I have declared your future full of hope, not because of your performance, but because of my promises and my nature and my love for you that does not know how to be anything other than what it is. I have declared that what has been lost can be restored, that what has been broken can be rebuilt, that what has been taken can be returned, that what has been delayed is not denied. I have declared these things over your life, and they stand regardless of what any other voice has said. You are what I say you are. Your future is what I say it is, and I say it is full of everything I made you for. Take this in. I take joy in you. Let me say this again because I know it does not always land the first time, especially in the seasons when you have been measuring yourself against a standard you could not meet and finding yourself lacking. I take joy in you, not in a version of you that is fixed and finished and has arrived at some ideal state. In you, as you are, right now, with all the unresolved things, all the growing edges, all the questions you have not yet answered, all the areas where you are still becoming what you will one day be. I take joy in you in the process, not just in the arrival. I am not waiting for you to be finished before I rejoice over you. I am rejoicing over you now, in this moment, in this season, in this imperfect, in progress, deeply beloved version of you that exists right now. You are worthy of that joy. You have always been worthy of it. The worthiness was never dependent on your achievement. It was given at the moment of your making, and it has never been revoked. So receive this. Receive the joy I have in you. Let it reach the parts of you that have believed you were a disappointment to me. Let it touch the places where you have been convinced that my patience with you has worn thin. Let it move into the spaces where shame has been living, where the old failures have been rehearsed too many times, where the worst things that were ever said about you have been kept like records that need to be regularly reviewed. Let my joy in you displace all of that. Let the truth of how I actually feel about you replace the stories you have been carrying about how I must feel about you. I am not disappointed in you. I am not weary of you. I am not waiting for you to get your act together before I begin to love you properly. My love is here. My love is now. My love is in this very moment. And that love is the foundation of everything else I am saying to you today. Go from this moment carrying something specific. Not just a general sense of having received something good, but something concrete that you can return to when the days get hard and the memory of this moment has faded. Let me give you something to carry. Carry this. My presence is the central truth of your life. Not a past truth that once was real and has since faded. Not a future truth that will become real when things improve. A present, ongoing, uninterrupted truth. My presence with you is the most stable thing in your existence, more consistent than any natural law, more reliable than any relationship you have ever known. When the heaviness of a difficult moment arrives before you have finished your first breath of the day, my presence is already there before you are. When the conversation you have been avoiding can no longer be avoided, my presence stands in that conversation with you. When the diagnosis comes back with words you had hoped not to hear, my presence is in the room with you, holding you before your body even knows how to respond. When the provision appears at the last possible moment and relief and gratitude wash over you simultaneously, my presence is in that relief with you. When the celebration finally comes, and you are marking something you waited a very long time to mark, my presence is in the celebrating. When the completely ordinary, unremarkable days arrive, and nothing dramatic is happening, and life is simply doing its quiet, ordinary thing, my presence is in the ordinary. It has always been in the ordinary. That is where most of your life is lived. And that is where my presence is most consistently available to you. Carry that. Return to it in the hard moments. It is enough. My presence with you means you have access to everything that is mine, which is more than sufficient for everything you will ever face. And carry this too. You are loved, not in the past tense, not the residue of a love that was once strong but has diminished. You are loved right now, actively, fully, with the same intensity that has always characterized my love for you, with the same commitment that was there before the world began. You are loved in the seasons when you feel it, and in the seasons when you do not. You are loved in the seasons when you are behaving in ways that reflect the love well, and in the seasons when you are not. You are loved in your strength and in your weakness. You are loved in your clarity and in your confusion. You are loved when you are easy to be around and when you are not. The love does not wait for the conditions to be right. The love is simply there, simply present, simply ongoing, simply the most unchanging thing in your entire existence. You are loved. Carry that too. Return to it when the other voices get loud. Return to it when the shame tries to convince you otherwise. You are loved. It is true. It has always been true. It will always be true. Walk forward in peace. Walk forward knowing who holds your future. Walk forward as the person I have made you to be, not the smaller version that fear has tried to shrink you into, not the diminished version that the hard seasons tried to convince you was the real you, but the full, complete, purposeful person I designed when I thought of you, when I chose you, when I said your name and you became. You are that person. You have always been that person. And you are stepping into the fullness of what that means. Walk into it without fear. Walk into it with your head up and your heart open and your spirit anchored in my word. Everything that is coming, everything I have prepared, everything I have promised, all of it is walking toward you as you walk toward it. Keep moving. Keep trusting. Keep returning to the stillness. I am here in it. I have always been here in it. And I always will be. Let me speak one more time about peace, because it is the theme I chose for this message, and it is the thing I most want you to leave here carrying. Peace is not the reward for a life well lived. Peace is not the prize at the end of a performance. Peace is not something I withhold until you have earned it through consistency or faithfulness or getting enough things right. Peace is a gift. I give it freely. I give it to people who are in the middle of their messes, and their questions and their unanswered prayers. I give it to people who have made mistakes and who are still making them. I give it to people who doubt and struggle and fall and get back up and fall again. I give it because I am the source of it, and because I choose to give it, and because I love you, and because it is my nature to be generous with what I have. Take it. Take it without feeling like you need to deserve it first. Take it without waiting until things in your life are orderly enough to justify receiving something good. Take the peace. Let it do what peace does. Let it change the temperature of your inner world, the quality of your rest, the clarity of your thinking, the generosity of your presence with others. Peace changes things. Let it change you, and let it flow from you to everyone around you who needs it, which is everyone you know, because everyone is carrying something, and everyone needs more peace than they currently have. You can be a carrier of what I give you. You can be someone whose presence brings a measure of what I have deposited in you to the people I place in your path. That is not a burden. That is a privilege. And it begins with receiving what I am giving you right now. Do not be afraid of the bigness of what I have planned. I know it can feel overwhelming to be told that great things are ahead when the present feels so heavy, and the distance between where you are and where you are going seems so large. But I am not asking you to cover that distance in a single leap. I am walking you through it one step at a time, at a pace that is sustainable, at a pace that allows you to develop what you need to develop for each stage of the journey before you arrive at the next one. I have not set a pace that will destroy you. I have set a pace that will build you, that will carry you, that will bring you all the way to what I have promised without leaving pieces of you behind along the way. Trust the pace. Trust the process. Trust the one who designed both with you specifically in mind, who knows your capacity and your limits, and who has never exceeded either without also providing what was needed to sustain you through the exceeding. I have you. I always have. And every step forward from here is a step we take together, you and I, with my hand in yours, and my presence surrounding everything that comes. Amen. If this message touched something real in you today, share it with someone who needs to know that peace is not the absence of storm, but the presence of God inside the storm. There is someone in your world right now who is in a hard season and needs exactly what you just received. Your willingness to share might be the word that turns their anxiety into peace. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so every new message reaches you. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of this landed most deeply in your heart. Your words encourage others more than you know. Type Amen in the comments if you received this peace today.